good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are joining us here at Africa Online. Today, it is a beautiful summer day, still pretty hot here in my neck of the woods. What's it looking like in your neck of the woods? Today, we're going to talk about freedom versus independence. You think that they may be equal, you think that they may be the same, but not necessarily. Freedom is the absence of constraints. It's the ability to think or act or express yourself without any type of restrictions, while independence is a state of self sufficiency and autonomy. You can rely on yourself and operate without external controls. You can have one without the other. They're not necessarily codependent or independent of each other. But we're going to get into that a little bit more in our conversation today. At this time, we're going to turn it over to my co-host, Professor Nearsang, for the editorial of the day. Afternoon, my brother. What's it looking like in your neck of the woods?
Greetings to you. It is hot. Yesterday was 110 degrees in the Washington area. Today, I just did not want to check the numbers. I just know that it is hot out there. I went out there and I was almost burning. So I rushed back inside and it's going as well as we can be. Welcome to the 7th month of the year 2026. Yes, it is the 7th month. Its name is July, named after Julius Caesar and known for summer in the Northern Hemisphere, notably in this our part of the world. And it is notable also for holidays like Independence Day in the United States and Bastille Day, you know that, Bastille Day in France.
In France, yeah.
July symbolizes warmth, happiness, and adventure, representing the heart of summer. Yes, it is the heart of summer in North America, in the Northern Hemisphere. It is associated with nurturing, protection, and substance, or rather sustenance, embodying fullness, abundance, and fruition. Today, July 5, Sunday, July 5, is the 186th day of the year 2026. There are 179 days left until we get into the year. We have 179 days left in the year. Today is the 27th Sunday of 2026 and the 15th day of summer. We therefore still have 80 days left before fall, or summer as you call it. Some notable national and international holidays worth taking note of during this month of July include July 1st, which we all know as Canada Day, which celebrates the anniversary of the Constitution Act of 1867, uniting the then 3 colonies of that country into one country, Canada. July the 4th, yesterday, or Independence Day in the United States, marks the adoption of the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and is celebrated with fireworks, parades, and barbecues across the country. Across the ocean, there is July 14th, or Bastille Day, as I mentioned earlier. That is the day the French overthrew their monarch and set up a free, well, not a really free country, but a country that embraces liberté, égalité, I forget the other one, no problem. So that being said, we know that Bastille Day commemorates the storming of the Bastille prison in 1789, history, and a pivotal event in the French Revolution. With those national holidays and backdrops, Africa Online Media Corporation, without focusing on any of those 2 days, the Bastille Day and Independence Day, just start talking about freedom and independence. Freedom versus independence will matter a lot. So what are these, and should we, for that matter, pay attention to them? Well, you heard Ambassador Lisa say it. Freedom we understand, is the ability to act without restraint, while independence, on the other hand, is the ability or the capacity to be self-sufficient or self-reliant and make decisions without external control. In other words, freedom refers to the state of being free from external constraints or interference, while allowing ourselves to act, speak, or think according to our own will and values. This emphasizes personal liberties, rights, and the absence of oppression, and can exist even when dependent structures if one's choices are unhindered. Independence, on the other hand, you heard Ambassador Lisa say, as we just said and we understand, is the state of being self-sufficient and autonomous, capable of making decisions and sustaining oneself without relying on others. It is, that is, independence. It involves self-governance, whether for individuals, organizations, or nations, and highlights control over one's circumstances rather than just the absence of restrictions. On these shores, in this country, we know that we have to listen to ourselves and to the fire and to the forces that surround us. In this country yesterday, there were fireworks, there was sun-drenched and rain-soaked, you wouldn't believe it, sun-drenched in one part, rain-soaked in other parts, but there was a resplendent red, white, and blue, the national flag of the United States. Natural and artificial beauty, backyard barbecues were taking place. There were smiles, well, nothing daunted and stood in the way of a people whose ancestors, some 250 years ago, challenged and defied tyranny from across the oceans, declaring independence on July 4th, 1776, and proclaiming the inalienable rights to liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In that order, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But political polarization stood out yesterday and has been for the past several years, tall and shameless as the words of Emma Lazarus on America's symbol of hope from that 1883 sonnet proclaim, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Freedom versus independence. Where do we go from here? That is the topic of discussion on Africa Online this Sunday, July 5, 2026. The chair of Africa Online Media Corporation, Her Royal Highness, Dr. Pam Fomenu, will come in now to welcome all of us to the show as we move on.
Thank you so much, Nia Song. Thank you, Ambassador Lisa. And you forgot the most important holiday in July, and that's my birthday. But anyway, that was just a joke. On behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, I want to appreciate you both. And I want to thank our viewers, those who are watching live on YouTube and those who are going to watch on Facebook. Yes, we had, anyway, no need to go into that. But in case you are wondering why we're just not streaming, there was a conflict with a very important Zoom concerning one of our projects. So I appreciate the freedom that we have to be able to be independent. You know, it's funny because when that topic came to me, it was just a few years ago. I really had not really thought about it. But when you look at it, even though they are two separate things, they are very connected because there are people who are free, but they are not independent. They can say what they want to say. They can, think what they want to think, or they can do it, but then they have to rely on somebody else to get certain things done. So are they truly free? Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Is somebody truly free if they have to rely on somebody? For example, you're going through the airport, you have to have the right ID. Now they've changed the identification, and there are people who can't go through. They're not free to go through TSA because they don't have the right ID. So, what levels of freedom are we talking about here? In Africa, they said they had independence 60 years ago. Are they really independent? In some countries, some Francophone countries, their banks still depend on the central bank of France. How can you call that independence? Or they can say they are independent. I'm not going to call any country because we don't get into politics here, but it takes an external power to dictate or to decide who the next president is. But let's move away from even that. Let's talk about the interconnectedness of freedom and independence. That's what I want to hear. I want you guys to weigh in on that. Yeah, we're not independence. We're not just talking about political or national independence or sovereignty. Let's talk about individuals first before we even go to the nation or the community. Okay, there are people who say, okay, this woman is very independent, which means she can take care of herself. She doesn't need a man to do that. And she's free. So she's free to say what she wants to say. Where you cannot go into a crowded in a crowd and shout fire. That's not freedom. You're breaking the law. But basically, she's free to wake up when she wants, go to work when she wants. There's no man telling her you have to be a housewife or whatever. And she doesn't have to rely on any man to pay her bills. But if a woman is free to do what she wants, but she doesn't have the income, she has to rely on a man for the income. Is she really free? Or is she free but not independent? I want you guys to weigh in on that.
Yes, free but not independent. I like that. Because as you were sharing, Reverend Pam, I was thinking about um, two situations. I have two married sisters. One basically has the freedom to kind of do as she desires, but still has that restraint of a husband, especially a husband who is not well. So
Mhm.
she's not free to move as I move. And I'm always calling and say, come on, let's go. This is my road dog. Come on, let's go. And I have to remember that no, she has to take care of certain things at home first. She has to make sure that his medication is given. He's got adequate food prepared. And I'll be sitting there, just tapping my feet like, when are we going? But I learned so much from her as well. Things that I didn't know earlier in my life about having a husband and, not putting up, I'm not just putting up with certain things. And I'm like, okay, where am I out? I'm out. And then I have another sister who is dependent on her husband for finances. So she's not free or independent to move about as she likes. Where I feel like I'm free and independent, but then again, I have certain constraints because when I want to move with my sisters, I'm not free to do so because I'm waiting on them. So, this freedom versus independence is an interesting topic. I did get a chance to look at it, look it up a little bit, but I didn't look at it from the context from which we are talking about it right now, as far as personal. Hadn't thought too much about it. But
Mhm.
when you think about it, which state do you like the best? Hmm.
Mhm.
Do you like the freedom part to not have to answer to anybody, which is basically where I am? I only answer because I choose. And I just think it's the responsibility and it's a responsible thing to do to let my children know or let my sisters know where I'm going, when I'm going. You know, I'm out of the country a lot and I'm free to go as I will, but at the same time, I need to let somebody know. So I'm sending my tickets, I'm giving copies of my passport to individuals, in case anything happens. So does that hinder? Is where does that fall in that freedom and independent area? again, as I was saying, it's not so much of a freedom or independence issue. I think it's more of a responsibility to just let someone know where you are in case something happens. What do you think, Nia-san?
Well, you're talking more for the women. The men seem to be left aside, but the men, do they have freedom?
There are
Maybe in
two
their
of you
home,
here. There are two men
maybe
on
not.
and two women.
Oh,
So we'll
Yes.
see.
So the fact is, freedom allows you to do as you please without, as Reverend Pam, no, as Dr. Fomelon said, as Dr. Pam said, without shouting fire where there is no fire. You have to be free to say what you can, what you have to say, without scaring other people, without pushing people out of their way. Freedom, yes, I mean, freedom for countries is different. Countries and institutions is different because those communities or those countries, those institutions have constitutions that they have drawn up or bylaws that they have drawn up which guide them how they have to behave. The individual, do you have such? The individual does not have such, except, as you say, responsibility. You have to be responsible for your act, for your words, for your actions, and whatever you do, know that people are there who could be hurt or who could get harmed. So be cautious about what you say with your words, be cautious with your freedom, and know that freedom has its limits. Independence, well, if we go back to the colonial period, well, they came up and said, we are giving Africa independence. African countries were giving them independence. But then they went in the back and drew up charters that direct how those countries will use their independence. As Reverend Pam said, some countries still have their central banks in the colonial country, run by the colonial country. The military of the colonial country still pulls the strings from the back. And even the presidents of those former colonial countries still pull the strings. They come hunting in my backyard without even taking my permission. They just come in and we only see them, oh, we have come to hunt. Well, that is not giving independence. So we have to be careful with those words, freedom and independence. Whatever it is, we have to know that the world is not really as flat as we think it is. So let us put it there and move on.
May I really, jump in, Dr. Ogoji, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, we had a conflict earlier, so I'm so glad, you joined. Uh, Ambassador Lisa, you letting people know your itinerary, that is not a constraint. That is, like you said, being responsible and informing people, especially when you're going out of the country. And we're not just talking freedom here, freedom of speech. Okay, the question I was asking before Dr. Ogoji came in was like, if, let's say you're a woman, it could be a man, or let's just say an individual, and you are free to go where you want to go, say what you want to say, do what you want to do without breaking the law, yet you have to depend on another person for either a visa or for money, transportation or whatever. Are you really truly free? Is Even though the definition of freedom and independence are separate, but to me they are intertwined. Because
intertwined.
can you
Right.
truly have freedom without independence? And can you truly have independence without freedom? Like Dr. Goji, you and I, we grew up in a country where their bank is still attached to France, Central Bank. They say they are independent, but how can you be independent? You remember there was a time when we were younger, when we sent out a mail, the mail will leave Cameroon, go to Paris first before coming back to the city in Cameroon. Even if that city was next door, yes, Ambassador
Right.
Lisa, it will have that envelope per avion, underneath. So you remember that, right, Dr. Goji? I'm
Yes,
sure you remember.
very well, very
It,
well.
it, it- it's like Ambassador Lisa mailing a letter from Philadelphia to Maryland, and the letter has to to go to Africa before coming back from Philadelphia to Africa before going to Maryland. That is what was happening up until not too long ago. So, Dr. Ogoji, let's hear your take about freedom and independence. If it says their definitions, they are different, but they are connected, you know?
Well, I am in my garden. Look at my care plant.
Oh, Dr. Ogoji. Be careful because Dr. Goji, just so you know, today I had a sweet kale salad. I'm like, you know what? I'm not buying this thing in the bag anymore. I need to buy my own organic kale and make my own salad. And here you are showing me organic kale in the in your garden. What about your chickens?
No,
Show us your chickens. Do you
no,
still
my
have
chicken.
them?
No more chickens. No more chickens.
Did your children stop you from doing that?
When I traveled to Nigeria in December, it's a lot of work for them because of the cold
Okay.
weather. So I stop it.
Okay.
So anyway, freedom and independence they go hand in hand. You can have both of them. You cannot be exclusive. What do I mean by that? America is a free country. You can say what you want. It's freedom of speech. But say the wrong thing, you'll be arrested. So you can say what you want, but you cannot say the wrong thing.
Say
Wrong
what you
thing by
want, but
who
don't say the
judgment?
wrong thing. Mm-hmm.
By who judgment? Is it my judgment or your judgment? And I'm a big fan of questioning this because now in America, they talk about freedom of choice. You can choose to be a man, you can choose to be a woman, you can choose to go by he, she, this. But I'm not free to change my age. I'm not free to change my race. I'm not free to change anything. So there is some oversight, no matter how we say we're free.
Should we really choose, Dr. Ogoji, just to not cut you short, but should we really choose the kind of person we want to be? The Creator created us in His image in a particular way. Why should you come and choose?
Let me change topic, okay?
I know.
Exactly. Please don't go there, because if you go there now, we're gonna go into religion and politics.
Yeah,
I know.
Let's not go there. So I'm just saying that there's oversight of what is free, and it's decided by some few individuals who runs the country. So people say America is the most free world in the world, but is America really free? No, Africa is the most free place. In Africa, I can go to the street and start making puff puff or beignet or akra or soya and sell. I don't need a license. For me to sell food in America, I have to go get a license. Yes, and they can say no. So they must go in hand. So freedom is when you do what you want to do. Nobody controls you. And then independence is doing things that you can do on your own without no control. They go together, but anything you do, there's somebody up there. Is it God? Is it government? Is it your employer? Is it your husband? Is it your wife? That will say, I need to know this. So you traveling, if I'm traveling somewhere else, I must tell my wife I'm traveling. She doesn't have to approve it, but she can say no. If she says no, it doesn't stop me from going if I really want to go.
But she's informed.
Yeah, you have to inform her. But she can say no. If she says no, then it causes problem for you and her. They have to resolve later. So we rely on one another to do things. So that's why no matter what we do, any action you take, it has to do with somebody else. Unless you're truly independent, that you are you and you, no wife, no kids, no family, and you don't want to follow government. You want to lock yourself in a room and hide in your room. If you go out to the car to drive, are you free to drive on the left-hand lane? No. Police will arrest you. Are you free to honk on people? Somebody will shoot you. So there are rules to be followed. Those rules affect how free we can have or how independent we can be. So freedom and independence are two different things, but they must go with rules based on who is in charge. This time it can be government, it can be an employer, it can be a mom. My children can say, the other day, my children, I say, you know what? I'm going to put a block on my internet that by 11:30 it goes off. So they're not free to be on the internet as long as they want. That's me. So somebody has to have an oversight. Government, your spouse, your dad, your mom, your employer, or the environment.
You know, Dr. Goji, you can come back, but what you say is true. Like, to me, they are so intertwined, so intertwined. Okay, like there are people that live in the country in Texas. I don't know about other states, but in Texas, they want to set up their own water, so they put a borehole. They want to set up their own sewage. They don't want to be connected to the city sewer. They want their own electricity. They don't want to be connected to any grid. So they have their own electricity. They have their own water. They have their own sewage. And they may plant their own kale, like Dr. Ogoji, have a full garden, raise their cattle, have a fish pond, but then they cannot manufacture gasoline. They still have to go to the gas station to buy gas to go anywhere. So I think just by virtue of us being humans, we are not totally free or totally independent. What do you guys think?
That is very true. Even from creation, they were not free in the Garden of Gethsemane, in the Garden of Eden. They were told they could eat the fruit of every tree except a particular tree. So freedom, independence, whatever, is not really has never ever totally been what it should be. By what the definition says in the dictionary. The dictionary definition cannot be applied without, as Dr. Ogoji says, without restrictions, without constraints, without watching your back, because you don't know who is standing behind you.
So let me go back to the statement Reverend Pam just made about people in Texas who can have their own electricity, their own water. They don't want to be on the grid. So where exactly are they getting their electricity from? Because
There's
how
solar
do you?
panels from nature.
Solar.
Solar. Okay.
Oh,
Because I'm
I do
thinking.
know. I know a couple of people. I actually know one in Oklahoma, and there's one in Texas here. They have everything. You cannot do that in the city. They have to be like in the country,
Okay.
not in the city. But they basically have, like, this person has a fish pond. They have a ranch. They have their own sewage system. They have their water, and they're using solar. They are not using anything from the city or from the county.
Okay.
That's us.
They plant most of their own stuff, but I'm sure they still have to go to grocery to buy
Yes.
oil, or even though you can live without oil. Talking about oil, one cup of most oils is like 2,000 calories. So you have to walk like for how long to burn out 2 calories. So people can live without oil, but they still have to go get certain things. They are not making their own clothes or their own fabric at home. So there are communities that try to be self-reliant, like the Amish community, but coming back to the general population,
Right.
are we truly free? Are we truly independent? Yesterday, the United States celebrated 250 years, of an experiment that has stood the test of time, and they were running away from being controlled, from constraints by the king. In what was that, George in England? I don't remember, but I'm just saying. But even though they ran away from that, they cannot say this country is truly free. Is this country more free than Britain or the United Kingdom? Let's keep that aside because I'll be going to politics. Let's go back now to the human. Okay, let's talk about husbands and wife. Like Dr. Ogoji said, if I'm going somewhere, I'll tell my wife, she may say no, but that will not stop me. In the home, are you okay, Nia? So you've been married for 500 years to the same woman. How free are you and how independent are you?
Well, it depends on what we are talking about. It depends on the context. Because if, unlike Dr. Ogoji, I want to go to maybe California and she says, don't go, she gives me reasons. I study them and I say, okay, well, given the reasons you have given, I think it is unsafe for me to take off and go to California by myself. I need to go with somebody who who has been there or who knows the place, or I'll go and meet somebody there who has lived there, who knows how to go around. I don't have just to go by myself. There is also the fact that in society we have people who are, well, something is wrong up there. They may see you, and because maybe the color of your skin or maybe the way you look, they think that you don't deserve to be where you are. So your
Right.
freedom is restricted there by that individual, and you become a target for some untold reason. That being said, having been married for centuries, I think it is important to listen to my partner, because she must have her reasons for telling me not to do this or do that, not to go there or come here. So that is the short of it that I can give you.
Nyason, disclaimer.
Yes.
Disclaimer, don't say unlike Dr. Gosh, okay?
Okay.
Don't say that, okay? That's wrong.
So
what I'm saying is that,
disclaimer?
disclaimer is that, I don't just do what I want,
Good.
okay? But the ultimate decision is me to decide if I want to do it or not after putting the pros and cons.
Okay.
Good.
So if I want to go somewhere, it's me I want to go eat. As I want to go somewhere, you talk to family. I mean, when I'm traveling, believe it or not, my family know where I'm going. I send message to my brother in Louisiana. I'm in this place just in case.
Exactly.
This is choices. But again, the ultimate choice decision to go or not to go is me.
Exactly.
It's me. After weighing people's option.
Yes.
Yes.
I have to say I don't. You cannot say you cannot go. And I cannot tell you cannot go. I'll say, my dear, why do you want to go to so place? I don't think it's okay. We'll talk about it. But ultimate decision is me. So there's some input from your partner, but the final decision is you after putting the pros and cons.
I understand you.
There are relationships.
I reserve my personal reasons for saying that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But there are relationships where most of the time the wife cannot go where she wants to go. It cannot even hang out with her friends. Cannot, in that case, she's not independent and she's not free. But Ambassador, let's take another angle and let's move away from husband and wife.
Yeah.
In the community, okay. Now, go ahead, then I'll ask a question later. Go ahead, Ambassador
No,
Lisa.
I was just going to say, when we're talking about communities, I was just thinking about Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner there in London, where you can say anything that you want, have a speech, do whatever you want. You're free to say and do, even if you're talking against the monarch, the king and the queen, there in London, you can only do it on that particular corner. But after some other research, I realized that even though you're free to say whatever you want on Speaker's Corner, you're still not free to say and do it whenever you want, because Speaker's Corner closes down at a certain time. So, as we're saying, freedom and independence there go hand in hand. I can say what I want, but I cannot say it at 2 o'clock in the morning because it's not open. I'll find myself, the bobbies are becoming and throwing me in jail because I'm trying to exercise my freedom of speech in a place where freedom of speech is not allowed at that particular time. So, inside of being free to say what you want, there are still places where that is restricted and there's some constraints as well.
Yeah, but let's go away from freedom of speech. That's just one of the freedoms. What about the freedom to be, to live, to be human, the freedom to exist? Trevor Noah wrote a book called Born a Crime, because in South Africa, when he was born, apartheid was still much alive, and interracial children were considered, for you to have an interracial child, it means a white person and a black person came together, and that was a crime. So, but I want us to
Yeah,
look
well,
at
yeah, we had a crime.
communities.
We had that as a crime as well too for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, community. Okay, a lot of us are in African communities, or Ambassador Lisa, you have your community, whether it's church community or your neighborhood community. Are you truly free in the community? Because some community, they put undue pressure on their community members, like you have to attend certain activities. You have to attend this, you have to attend that, you have to attend every funeral or every child baby shower, or if you don't attend, something happens to you, nobody will come to you.
Right.
But one thing people fail to understand is that there's a difference between willingness and ability. Somebody may be willing to participate in those things, but maybe their schedule doesn't allow them. These things are usually festivities usually happen on the weekend. There are people that have to work on the weekends, and there are people who are single mothers or single fathers. They have babysitting issues. I want us to address that community freedom or independence in the community. I want to hear from all of you.
My community understands that I have self-awareness, that I have personal constraints which restrict me or which prevent me from participating in certain activities at certain times of the day, as you said. So I make sure that I respect the rules and regulations or put down by my community, and I go where I'm supposed to go, when I'm supposed to go, not when somebody forces me because he thinks he has an upper hand than myself.
Oh, near some, do you live in a community that has a HOA?
No.
No, oh no, I'm not talking about just residential community. I'm talking about, like, for him, he's from a group, an ethnic group called Lebielem or Lewo. Dr. Ogoji just came back from his class reunion. He went to that St. Bede's secondary school. That community, they have maybe rules and regulations of membership. So Ambassador Lisa, it could be a church community. I'm not talking about neighborhood community.
Okay.
That is one. We can address that also, but it's beyond just your neighborhood.
Yeah, Ambassador Lisa is more about my social groups.
Oh, okay.
Yes, more about my social groups.
Because I was just trying to figure out what kind of communities would you belong to where they want you to attend certain events. And I was thinking back in Africa when she said, if you don't attend the baby shower or you don't attend the funeral and then something happens to you, then they won't come to your rescue. And I thought, in Africa, I know that that's an issue. If you don't go to the funeral, especially of your neighbor, they'll think that you were the reason that the neighbor died, and then you become the subject of the conversation. You're the cursed one. You're the responsible one. All that kind of foolish. I thought that's what we were talking about. So when he was saying that certain things, I'm like, okay, let me get some clarity here. So when we're talking about
Dr.
our
Ogoji,
communities,
let's enlighten Ambassador Lisa. It's not just in Africa.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
in the community here too, Dr. Ogoji.
Well, I'll start by, I have a club I belong to. It's called Olu Concern Friends in Nigeria. It's a rule that if a member have a burial, your mom and dad pass away, a wedding, child dedication, anything that's called ceremony, we all have to attend. It's a must.
it's
Those
a
of us
must.
abroad are exempted not to attend because we contribute money. We're about 30, we're about 40 of us. So we pay our annual dues. Those of us abroad pay more because we're not supposed to attend those things because I cannot fly from here just to go and attend that meeting in Nigeria. But those in Nigeria, anything in Nigeria, they must attend. Because you don't attend, you pay additional fine for not attending.
You
So
pay
that's the
an
rule.
additional fine for not
Yes. So
attending.
if you don't attend, you have to attend. If you don't attend, they'll make you pay more money than the flight ticket will have cost you to attend. They'll make you pay. Unless you're really, really sick, you were in the hospital and you show me that they were sick and take permission before then. Otherwise, it's a must. So these are the rules of community. In that way, when we're doing something, we all show up in a mass and support one another. Unless we don't have to come. Okay, that's one aspect. So the rules are there, you must follow the rules. The another one that is so annoying, I like saying this, that in my church community in Nigeria, the Kali church community, there's no year, I repeat, there's no year I'll spend less than $2,000 or $3,000 for that community. But believe it or not, if I die today, okay, the priest might refuse to bury me because I'm owing dues. Because I don't pay, if you're in a Catholic community, you pay registration every year. You pay something, you're a member of the parish, you pay something. So it doesn't matter how much you give for charity, when you pass away, they'll bring the register, say, oh, he has not paid his dues from
That is not
1970.
right at all.
It's not right. I'm coming there. I say it's just all right. Not from 1970 to this. And that has caused problem in the community that, look, I've been fighting that all this while, so you cannot do that. Because this guy has been coming to mass every day. He's part of the community. So when he dies, please just bury him. And that's why sometimes a very popular artist, her name is Chimamanda, was so mad that his mother died and they were trying to make her donate money in the church. She got angry. She said, I'm mourning. He asked me for money. What's wrong with you? So the same thing goes back to even most church community in Africa, I don't know about here, where they'll get money from these poor women in the village and build big schools and universities. And yet, you can only pay to attend. None of the church members can afford it. So that's a different topic. So basically, there are rules in the community that has to be followed. So those rules should be handled with care. If the rule says for you to be a member of the association, you have to up to date with your dues. You follow the rules to the church association should be a bit different in terms of depth. In terms of depth. If it's wedding, other things, you can say, come and pay your dues. But if somebody dies, go and bury him. So these rules exist to control people, and the rules are good to be implemented, but they should be implemented with caution. That's where humanity comes to mix with rules.
Exactly. But when I was growing up, that was not because we were all born and raised Catholics. I think it's something that have a doctrine that got added later on. It was not about paid membership. The house of God or ministry should be open to people. Most Pentecostal churches don't ask for paid membership. You give your tithes, you give offerings, but membership is not an association. But anyway, we are doing the Nia song. I think you can take the round of the table now, and Dr. Ogoji, I'll be dreaming about that your kill.
That being said, apparently we are doing a shortened version of our program today. All the same, Ambassador Lisa, you've been silent for a while, so just wrap it up with your last words.
Yeah, well, when we announced this topic, I kind of had a different version of what we were going to talk about. So, but what we've talked about today has been very enlightening, especially what Dr. Goji was sharing about not being buried. I wanted to dig more into that. So you're saying that the church buries you, not the family? I can see if if the family needed to come to the church because they were out of funds or we didn't have enough, then we come to church. But you're saying if your dues are not paid, they will not bury you at all. You can't have your funeral in the church.
Yes and no. So if somebody dies, you choose where you want to be buried in Nigeria. If you're Catholic, you want a mass, the last mass, funeral mass for yourself. Your family go and tell the pastor, oh, my father died, or my sister died, or my brother died. So he's a member of this parish. He needs to be buried. Or he lives in the US, he's a Catholic, but he's a Catholic. He needs to be buried here in Nigeria. He needs a mass. They'll bring a register, say, when was the last time he came to our church? Oh, he goes to church in the US, he goes to church in Lagos, he goes to church in Philadelphia. Okay, that's fine, but is he a registered member of our church? And remember, Catholic church is supposed to be universal, but they'll say, if his name is not there, they'll say, well, it's even easier if your name is not there. They'll say, well, there's some dues you have to pay. I mean, if you prove that you're a Catholic, they'll give you a burial mass, they'll give you some dues to pay, to clear. But there was some people like us who are registered in the local parish in Nigeria. I don't remember the last time I actually paid my dues. Even the money I give them every year is more than my annual dues. So, yes, more than my annual dues. So, how I knew there's one very rich man who passed away, and by the time I calculate the amount of money that he was owing, it was a lot. But this somebody gives millions to the church every year. And the family has to clear that bills before they get a mass for him. That is wrong. That's something I've been fighting and fighting and fighting.
Yes.
It's absolutely wrong. Because if somebody say, I want bless me for my burial, do it and go ahead. You can talk to the family later. But the Catholic Church That's one thing that that need to change. I don't know who's going to change it, but that's the rule. I don't know why we made that rule, but it's wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to be a
Wow.
registered member of the church, just like here in America. If I want my kids to do communion or baptism, the pastor asks me, "Are you registered in the parish?" But registering in the parish here doesn't mean it doesn't come with dues. Just to register, you have a register of you being a member of the church. You pay your tithe every Sunday. So the Catholic Church here is different compared to back home. If a member, they tax you monthly allowance, which is wrong. But here, I go to Catholic Church here. Are you a registered member of the church? That's all I ask you. There's no attached monthly dues to be a Catholic in America. They expect you to pay your dues. So I don't know who make that rules in Nigeria. I'm going to bring that up when I go back to the bishop next time. So I can change it.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank you for that enlightening bit of nugget. That's an interesting aspect there. So, as my last words, as we're talking, as we're talking,
yes. That being said, you have to wrap up.
Yeah, that being said, as we're talking about freedom versus independence, I need my fellow Africa Online constituents, those of you who watch us live, those of you who watch us on YouTube and or Facebook later on, I need you to use your freedom and your independence to join us as we are still having our ongoing fundraiser for Operation Borehole 55. We have people, we have cities, we have clinics where there is no freedom and there is no independence, and they need our help. They need our help to get some water because water is life. They need our help that they might be able to be free and be independent of going to the river and getting that water so they can have an operation. So we want to be able to put boreholes in these countries. Kenya and Cameroon are our next countries that are in desperate need, but we can't do it without you. So come on, bring your freedom and your independence and make a donation to africasbrainbank.org. Go to that donate button and donate something today that we might be able to continue to see our countries, our government approved clinics in these countries be able to have some freedoms and some independence, to not have to go to get dirty water from a river. They will have a borehole to bring fresh, clean water to their clinic to service their people. Thank you so much.
Was that your last word?
That's the last word.
I don't know if I have a last word on freedom independence, but I'm going to give another announcement because I need our free and independent selves to come on and join Africa's Brain Bank, our sister organization in Ghana, Labor Day weekend from September 3rd through the 8th. You still have time to register. You still have time to get that plane ticket and join us in the beautiful city of Accra as we celebrate our 7th annual summit and gala and fundraiser. So come on with your freedom, come on with your independence, and join us in Ghana. Now,
Thank
that
you
is my
so
last
much,
word.
Yeah,
Ambassador.
Niason, before you speak, Dr. Ogoji has already used his freedom and independence to book his hotel, to book everything. He's on the panel. So among the four of us here, Niason, you're the only one who is not heading to Ghana. So it's not too late to change your mind and join
Go
us
have that
in Ghana.
conversation.
I read you. Dr. Goji, thank you very much. And that being said, Dr. Goji, I am kind of jealous about your garden. Yours is cleaner than mine. I don't weed mine as much as you weed yours. So your last word as we wrap up today, and I'm happy to see your garden.
Yeah. Well, freedom and independence is a great thing. I think everybody should be free to do what they want to do and independent to live their life. However, that freedom ends when it inflicts on somebody else's human rights.
Yes.
So if you do something, make sure that you don't influence somebody else's human rights, because you don't own yourself. You know, I'm a dad, I have children, I own a responsibility to be responsible, take care of them so they can become a responsible adult. I cannot be free to go and drive recklessly and get drunk and die on the road. That's recklessness.
Right.
Because I have responsibility to my family. So we are responsible to our family, our government, our community, and our neighbors. So our freedom as long as the freedom doesn't impede on those people's human rights, let's be as free as possible. When it starts impeding on people's human rights, please stop. On the other hand, be very careful. I like saying this. You cannot manage people's emotion. You might be doing something that makes you happy, and your neighbor doesn't like it because she's crazy. That's none of his business. So do what makes you happy. Don't put other people's don't tamper other people's freedom or right. Also, don't work on people's emotion. Do what is right and what is right and what is right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Goji. Your Highness, are you going to say a few words before you
I've
wrap
been
it up?
thinking
And then I
about
wrap it up.
Dr. Ogoji's garden. I used to have a garden. I don't have one right now, but I'll get back there. I just want to
It's
say,
your freedom. It's your freedom.
I just want to say we are, as humans, we are not totally free or totally independent. We are interconnected, and we have to depend on other people for certain things. We're not all sufficient. Even the people that have money, when they get sick, they have to rely on a caregiver. So I just want to say we should respect each other, treat each other right, because whether we like it or not, we all belong to one race, the human race. Thank you. And next week, next week we are going to be talking about post-colonial, African
Post-colonial Africa.
post-colonial Africa. Gosh, Ambassador Lisa put another text. We're going to be talking about post-colonial Africa. I can't wait to hear what Dr. Goji will say about that.
That day he'll be in the farm in the where does he usually go? He'll be in the hospital, not in the garden.
You don't know that.
You haven't been in the hospital in a long time now.
I mean, it's
that being
I still
said,
go. I do. I will. I go to hospital about five. I mean, it used to be just 5 of us. Now we are 10. So the calls are less frequent.
That being said, whatever we do, whatever we say, we should shoot for societal harmony in whether we're free or independent or whatever. Thank you all very much. And please let us make it work. That the independence that we have, we use it reasonably. The freedom that we seek, we use it exceptionally well so that there is societal harmony, so that there is social harmony in our communities and in our countries. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you.